There's our celeb guest, who is amazing. He's one of my favorite people in the world. He's definitely no stranger to the loft. It's none other than world-renowned comedian Marc Lottering. I love him so much. We are catching up on what he's been up to since we last had him in the studio, and he will be giving us the inside scoop on his latest production, Not a Musical. Here's a snippet of one of our favorite Marc Lottering productions, Payday Blues. Watch this.
A lot of you get paid on the 25th. Yeah, we can't wait for the 20th. Some South Africans, on the night of the 24th, they even idle their cars outside the ATM, waiting for 12 o'clock. Yeah, come 12 o'clock, come. Hey, around the 30th, you still the catchy funny band. The 10th of the next month, you still all right, but you're not as liquor as you were. The 19th, now you can feel God is testing you. 21st, where your wife is looking at you with judgment in her eyes. And when we get to the 23rd, you know what the fridge is like the 23rd, but somehow, sir, you're still optimistic. You open that fridge, it's just that white light there. Niemand weet waarvoor soek jy nie, maar jou hele kop is in die fridge. Jy's besig. You even shout to the wife upstairs, baby, is the peanut butter in the fridge or in the cupboard?
Ah, ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Marc Lottering. If you have any questions for Marc, please don't hesitate to connect with us online using the hashtag Afternoon Express in your comments. Marc, welcome to the show.
Thank
I love you.
So lucky to be here. So nice seeing you again.
No, so good to see you. You know, I was thinking about when the first time I interviewed you for TV was almost 17 years ago.
Yo, that's quite possible.
Yeah, and for radio, I think was a little bit before that.
You were really good then. Radio, you were fantastic. Oh, my
I
word.
had a face for radio. But you've just been in the industry forever.
I know. It's you know, when you meet the younger comedians backstage now, and you try to be cool and you try to hang out with them, and then everything's going fine until they start offering you a seat. And they start going...
Do they call you Uncle?
They go, Uncle Marc, your set was really great, Uncle Marc. Like all the Joburg comedians do that, especially.
Yeah.
So I guess it's been a while, and this year, I talk about it in my new show. It's to the year.
Yeah.
It's now 21 years since I first walked onto stage to kind of tell my first gag. So it's a special year. I take nothing for granted, but I do, like you said, you know, I go like, wow, it's been long.
But what blows my mind is that you don't get used to hearing yourself or seeing yourself on TV. Actually, I'm blown away by how uncomfortable you get.
It's an area of my life God is still working on, but I cannot watch myself or listen to myself. I'm always astounded that people would pay.
Really? Do you not think that you are hilarious? Because I find you you're honestly one of the funniest people I know.
Jeannie, I'll tell you something. You only know, and this is new, and now I've told you it's 2 decades, but you only know until the opening night as to whether that story that you thought was so funny after your 3rd tequila when you were in some pub and wrote it down on a serviette, and then I wake up the next morning and go, oh, there's something. You can think it's hilarious at home, and I've proven this over and over, and you walk onto stage and you tell the story, there could be silence in the audience, and I've always relied on particularly South African audiences, because they're very honest with me. They will redirect your show. And something that you didn't think was really that funny, people are screaming the roof off, not necessarily because, oh my word, that's so funny, but they're screaming because that happened to me.
Yes.
So I think it's that kind of honesty in the stories, you know, that have still kept me going. Yeah. But people redirect the show for me all the time.
Do you ever have like a little testing ground? Because I was watching a comedian last night and I saw that before she goes to big stages, she goes to little comedy clubs with her set. Do you do that as well?
You know, I think it's a gift to be able to do that. Yeah. But I've not had the luxury of being able to do that. I kind of just go out there, book the theatre, and walk onto stage and tell the stories. And it's crazy. But I'll tell you something. You know, when I started out, it was essentially around the same time with David Kau and Alan Committee.
Yeah.
And would you believe it? It was pre-social media.
Yeah.
So there wasn't even a testing ground for Twitter, because quite
No.
often I'm seeing a lot of young comedians on
But Twitter's
Twitter.
so hardcore anyway. It could be the funniest thing in the world. Twitter won't find it funny.
Yeah, Twitter will find a dark place in that statement. And we come from the old school where we just booked a theatre,
Yeah.
and we did, the pressure was on to do 60 minutes. And
60.
60,
Oh,
60,
my
that's what you had to do. So because we considered that to be the most normal thing,
Yeah.
suddenly, you know, things evolved and comedy became rock and roll in South Africa. And then you hear people, and you hear people in other parts of the world as well, talk about, I need my tight 15 minutes. And you go, why did nobody tell us to look for a tight 15 minutes? But we didn't have access to comedy clubs as we do now.
Yeah.
So we did that, and in retrospect, I'm glad for that training ground. So a long way of answering that question. You know, I now don't kind of go to comedy clubs, because I'll tell you something. When you go to a comedy club, and you know there could be 100 people there, some clubs take even fewer people than that, and then you go to a theatre where there are 600 people.
Yeah.
For me, because of where I come from,
Yeah.
the 600's a much easier crowd.
Yeah.
Because you're going to find the honesty
Yes.
in that group of
Yeah.
60 or 80 people, because, you know, people are sitting there and they're not necessarily there just to
No.
make you feel good. They had an argument on the way there, you'll know that. The couple sitting there not talking to each other, the girl's looking at you, it wasn't her idea to be there.
Yeah.
She's going, bring me the head of John the Baptist, make me laugh, somebody said you were funny. And you feel it because it's the small group of people.
Yeah.
So and now my rule is, you see, I'm so comfortable with you. I'm telling you all my secrets.
No, I love it.
While the nation's
Don't
watching.
stop.
My rule now is if I walk on stage, turn the lighting as low as possible.
Yeah.
Because I respond to what I see. So even if 500 people are laughing and I see one woman
Yeah.
looking down or being on a phone
Yeah.
or rolling, and I'm thinking, she's having the most terrible evening.
Okay, and are you very sensitive to that? Because I'm sensitive to
No,
that.
I focus on that.
Me too. You know, the other day I walked into a restaurant and I saw somebody say to his girlfriend, "That's Jeannie D." And then roll their eyes. But then he hit on me later, so I was like, what a schmuck. But I get so sensitive about it. Do you?
You see, there is a God. He hit on you later, so everything was fine. I'm extremely sensitive to such an extent
Yeah.
that I often wonder, how did I get here? How did I get into this
Yeah.
industry?
Yeah.
You know, because my mother always said to me that she had great contacts and she could get me an office job. She said, you'll work with a pen and a paper. It'll be amazing.
You would suffer in an office,
And
Mark.
now I'm now in the business where feedback from the audience is what's going to sell
Yeah.
your next show. So, you know, that's why when it comes to social media, I've made the choice, because of my sensitivity, I obviously can't avoid it on stage. And I had a conversation even yesterday with another actor. I made the choice just not to read threads on, if I post
Yeah.
anything about a show happening, I don't read the comments, because I think life is too short and life is way
Yeah.
too fabulous
Yeah.
to be swayed by what
And
anonymous
it's a special
people
kind of
think
person
you.
who's going to go and put something negative out there on the internet.
Yeah.
Like, good luck to you, dude. Hope that works out well for you. But one thing I can say about you, and I've interviewed a lot of influencers and comedians and all that, you are genuinely funny. I've met a lot of comedians who need their script to be funny, to pull off a show. You are so funny off the cuff and consistently for 17 years or as long as I've known you. You are hilarious.
Thank
So,
you, Jeannie. Wow, the
it's
things
all
you
real.
say after you get complimentary tickets for years. You're amazing.
So we've asked you on our social media platforms if you've got any questions for Mark. And Tando Dlamini asked, greetings, Mark. You've been in the comedy industry for so long. You're one of the familiar faces, so we all know and love. After so many years, what still gives you a smile looking back at your career and how far you've come?
Sure. For me, it's still all about, you know, and I don't want to sound like I'm running for the next Miss SA pageant, but it really is all about the people. So last night I get this message. I just did this show at the Opera House in Port Elizabeth, and I love Port Elizabeth, those East London, great support all the years. And then I get this message yesterday from someone who was in the audience, and she's ill, she has cancer, and she had to go for her first treatment yesterday. she said she was terrified. But she came to the show at the Opera House, and when she was sitting in the waiting room, she thought she cannot sit here and just like actually die with terror. So she decided to go through the entire show in her head.
Wow.
And she said it took her mind off what she was about to face. But not only did it take her mind off that, it just made her feel, lekker for the time that she was waiting. Now, you read that message yesterday, right? I get a bit of a lump in the throat.
No, I can see you welling up, but it's beautiful.
And I think that's what, not just comedy, but that's what life is all about.
Yeah.
I think we've, you know, if we just get it, that we've been created to just bring a better life to ourselves and people around us, then that would make things a whole lot better.
We're all here for love. We all want to be happy.
We all want to be happy, ultimately. I don't care what Twitter says. I don't care about all the ugliness out there. But ultimately, everybody really is seeking for some kind of inner peace and happiness. And when I got that message, I thought, wow, if I went to the Opera House because of that beautiful person who I didn't know was going to go through that experience, and then to get a message like that, that's why we do what we do.
That's beautiful. This is why you deserve all your success. Now, please get your utensils ready as we prepare a hearty beef and onion pie alongside the darling Marc and, of course, Chef Aya after the break. It's guaranteed to be a fun time.